Welcome into the CHGO White Sox Podcast, coming to you live on the Sunnyside Summer Thursday. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. Welcome into Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, the full CHGO White Sox crew on this historic?
No.
Okay. On this day, happy Halloween. That's Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can read his work at allchgo.com and follow him at Vinnie Duber. The man in the middle is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
Our CHGO White Sox community leader. You can follow him at Ecknerwall23. And we want to let you know about our introductory offer over at allchgo.com/intro if you're looking to read every single one of Vinnie's published pieces,
including the one that just went up mere minutes ago.
Exactly. Go check out allcity.com/intro. We are having a huge sale to kind of reset our focus here for our diehards, make sure that they're getting the best possible product ever, and we're just making sure it's tailored to you. And now you can jump in for the great price of $4 a month, $48 for the year. You get a free shirt, you get several discounts, you get access to Vinnie's great articles, etc., etc. You get access to the CHGO Discord Lounge. On today's show, we'll be talking about Will Venable being introduced officially as the 44th manager of the Chicago White Sox. Vinny, you got to chat with Will Venable. We have audio and video from both Chris Getz and Will Venable on why he came to Chicago. Are you still excited, Herb?
Oh, man. It's been a great day. I haven't really heard any of these clips, but just been following along with Vinny and the beat writers who have been tweeting some things out. Couldn't be more excited. I love some of the answers that Chris Getz gave, and I definitely love that Will Venable is as level-headed and intelligent as he seems on the paper. I hope I get to hear the same thing when we watch these.
Let's stop beating around the bush and let's hear from him. Let's hear from Chris Getz first. We're going to hear the opening statements. I know it's a little dry, a little bland, but it's literally what they prepared. So it shouldn't be dry or bland. Be more exciting. Be more entertaining. Chris Getz, what do you have to do or say about Will Venable as the new White Sox manager?
You know, from my perspective, as we were evaluating candidates, you know, the communication ability of Will definitely stood out. And the reason why I feel like it's so effective is because it's coming from a place of some authenticity, honesty. There's never anything, he never delivers anything in a rush. I mean, it's just with.
Welcome back to the CHGO White Sox Podcast. Here's the issue when you give your producer about, 9 clips of video and audio 10 minutes before the show, is things get a little, combobulated.
This is a false start.
There was 6 videos, not 5.
Okay.
But that's okay.
I think there might actually be 7, Steven, so
Yeah.
we might want to go back and check.
Yeah, is there a Venable opening? Because we'll go to that next. Here is Chris Getz introducing his man, Will Venable, the new White Sox manager, at today's press conference. Chris Getz's opening statement on Will Venable.
You know, it was an extensive process, interview process that we began getting organized in August. And, we certainly used our resources outside of the organization, leaned on, our internal people as well. And, at one point we had 60 plus candidates. Obviously, we worked that down to eventually 20. We certainly did our homework, used the network that many of us have outside of the organization and dove in deeper. And once we got to about 20 candidates, we began a more personalized interview process. We were very intentional. We built out the criteria, desired outcomes of what we were looking for. We built out a value system that we felt a manager for the Chicago White Sox would embody. And, through that 20-person interview process, we dwindled it down to 5. I will say that that particular point in our interview process was the most difficult. And then once we got down to our finalists, we had a final group of 5 that we brought in person here in Chicago, met with our baseball ops group. We had panels. We created different scenarios. I spent more time with each individual. And then it became very clear through that process that Will Venable was the right fit for us. I look forward to diving into this with him. I view him as a tremendous partner. He's someone that, you've heard, his resume, his bio, but what really stands out for him is the person. He's someone that grew up in the game, obviously played it himself, 2-sport athlete, someone that, when his days were finished as a player, he jumped right into the front office, worked his way up the coaching ranks, worked under some tremendous, potentially future Hall of Famers and Alex Cora and Bruce Bochy. And now to bring such a talented person, someone that's so well coveted around the league to lead our organization is nothing short of outstanding and exciting for me and others in the organization.
And if you can't tell, Chris Getz is excited. That's his excited face, and his voice is just ringing with excitement. Before we go back to some reaction from Vinnie and Herb, let's hear from Will Venable on his opening thoughts on becoming the new manager of the Chicago White Sox. Here's Will Venable.
Thank you for having me on here. Super excited about this opportunity. And first, thank you to Jerry and ownership and Chris and the group for the opportunity. I just couldn't be more excited. And, going through this process and kind of just discovering the type of people that are in the organization is really the main reason why I'm so excited about this job. And I'm definitely somebody who has benefited from the people around me from day one back in San Rafael, and my coaches and teammates and teachers that I've had. Coach Savani, my basketball coach in high school, at Princeton, having Coach Bradley there. In my professional career, people like Buddy Black and Dave Roberts have just had a tremendous impact on me, and it has continued into my coaching career as well. To be able to be in Chicago with Jed and Theo and have their impact, and be in Boston and have Haim and Alex Cora impact me, and then my time in Texas. I can honestly say I just wouldn't be here without the people around me and the people that have challenged me and supported me and just helped me be a better person. So thank you to all of you people. Don't have time to list everybody, but believe me, there's a long list of people that have impacted me. And just going back to Texas just for a second, I do want to single them out. I think about my 2 years there, and the acceleration of my development is really just attributed to Bruce Bochy, Chris Young, and Ray Davis, and the things that they did. And it's with that development that I feel extremely confident that I'm prepared for this opportunity. But I also know that without them, I don't think that I would be ready for this. So it was really a hard decision to leave, to be honest. When you're in a place like that with those kind of people, it's really challenging. And it was only because I felt so confident about this opportunity and the people in this organization that I was, confident about making that move. Through this process, and kind of like how I even frame up the opportunity as far as, is this a interview that I want to take or not? You just look superficially like at the city and my time in the city and my love for this city. And then, the reputation and what I knew of Chris and his values and who he is as a person, it was really a no-brainer to take the interview. And I'm so glad I did, because just to continue to learn about Chris and the group and the people and the organization, their vision for winning and really the foundation that they've laid and will continue to lay. I just couldn't be more excited for the opportunity. So thank you. And I can't wait to go to work.
A no-brainer about becoming the White Sox manager, or at least interviewing. Excited about this opportunity. Does this man know where he's going, Herb?
I think, his time in Chicago probably has sold him on the city as a whole. And it's like, I love the place and how worse can the Chicago White Sox be than the Cubs and the whole atmosphere there. I mean, he seems not only willing and able, but enthusiastic about starting his job here with the White Sox, which I wouldn't have thought a person with his stature and a person that had opportunities to go elsewhere or just stay where he was in Texas is not only choosing to be here, but like enthusiastic, looking forward to, and like, yeah, I'll take an interview with Chris Getz. Are you kidding me? Like, he's the one, it seems like, that is more geeked than what Chris Getz is. If I was Chris Getz and I landed a fish like he is, I would be the most happy person in the world. But it seems like, just on the first blush, that man is through the roof happy as hell that he's a White Sox manager. And as a cynical White Sox fan, it's good to see that somebody is like, man, I know it's his first job, but also he could have stayed elsewhere, and he said, no, I'm going to the White Sox, and I'm excited about going to the White Sox.
And there's a ton of questions that we have and a ton of video of Will Venable asking and answering the question why he came to Chicago, so don't worry. But it seems to be Chris Getz is the answer. I mean, obviously Chicago is a part of it. His, brother's a former Bear. Great to see.
Gosh.
But it does seem like that relationship between former players is what is bringing Will to Chicago in a way.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've heard it from not just Will Venable today, but the folks that Chris Getz surrounded himself with in the front office last summer after he got the job, and that they're really sold on what he has to say, his vision for the future, while not terribly detailed to those of us outside the organization. For the folks that he wants to bring in to get that job done, they are loving what they're hearing, and they are willing to sign up. You heard it from Brian Bannister and Josh Barfield and Gene Watson and Paul Janisch, and now you're hearing it from the manager, Will Venable. I think that there's a lot that those guys like about Chris Getz. And yeah, I don't think that we can ignore the fact that most of those guys that I just listed are all former players, and they're that part of things keeps getting complimented by current players, right? They like that Chris Getz is a former player. They like to buy into what he's saying because they know he's been in their shoes. So I think that he's done a really good job of selling his plan for turning this franchise around to the people that are going to help him do it. And Will Venable certainly is the latest one of those. But there are other reasons. I mean, yeah, he likes Chicago. Everybody likes Chicago. It's the best city there is. But I think that you've got a guy who talked about just there in that answer how 2 years ago when he came from the Red Sox to the Rangers, he might not have been ready for this. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden, because of what he experienced working under Bruce Bochy and working under Chris Young and working in Texas, all of a sudden he does feel like he is ready for this. So maybe it's a lot more personal and a lot more to do with where he is in his life. He said today that he's a guy that likes a challenge. You know what I mean? We've talked so often about how experienced he is in this game working under top managers and how smart this guy is. He knows what he's getting into, and he wouldn't have signed up for it if he wasn't all in. So I think he is just the type of person who likes this. I know White Sox fans are very rightfully frustrated over what this team state is currently, both with what the record was last year and what we've heard and read about what that organization has been like behind the scenes for the last few years, right? But Chris Getz is trying to move it in a different direction, a more modern direction, and I think there's a lot of people out there who, even with all that stuff, say, not only is this a big league job, but it's a challenge that I want to take on. I'm a competitor. I'm the guy that wants to get this team from the bottom all the way to the top. I like what Chris Getz is selling. That's the job I want to take on. Will Venable obviously is that guy.
I want to get into some Will Venable stuff right after the break. We're about a minute away, so it feels weird to start playing like a minute clip, and then we have to take a break, and then we can't talk about it. Hey, White Sox Tom wants us to talk about Kopech has a ring.
Congratulations.
He does.
There you go. All right, cool. We moved on. That filled time for us to get to
Daniel
the break,
Hudson, too, former White Sox.
Hey, Daniel Hudson, White Sox legend.
Hey.
Congratulations on the retirement there, Daniel Hudson.
Joe Kelly, former... Okay.
No, we're good. All
Okay.
right. Let's take a break. We're going to let you know about our friends over at ComEd.
You know, Vinny, ComEd can help businesses save money by becoming more energy efficient.
Herb, I didn't know ComEd did that.
Yep, the Energy Efficiency Program can help find up to 35% in energy savings.
Wow. So what does a business have to do to get in on those savings?
Just sign up for a free facility assessment at ComEd.com/biz.
That sounds pretty easy, so why aren't more businesses doing it?
Maybe they forgot the website, Vinny.
They need to repeat it over and over again, kind of like ComEd.com/biz, 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 ComEd.com/biz.
Do it. Thank you very much, Vinny. Terms and conditions apply. Offers are subject to change. Actual savings will vary by customers' energy usage and rate. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is funded in compliance with state law.
Thank you, guys. And even though Major League Baseball season is over, you can still look for some fun on Prize Picks. You have the NHL going on. You have the NBA going on. You have college football going on, and tonight there's a Thursday night football game. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars awarded in winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. It's a very intriguing night because Aaron Rodgers is going up against a pretty good defense. I would be betting against him. I don't know what Herb would do, but that's why it's your game.
I always bet against Aaron Rodgers.
You could probably make a prize pick where you make go take the over on or the more on Aaron Rodgers and the less on Aaron Rodgers, and then you pick the same other prop on that, and that way you kind of cancel it out. You can hedge. I don't know why you do that. You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks, and Prize Picks is the best way to get action in on sports on over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas, and most importantly, Illinois. And Prize Picks now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. So sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that could lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for our lineups. We saw this when Caleb Williams had to throw 1 passing yard for your Prize Pick entry to win. So download the app today and use code CHGO to get $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. That's code CHGO to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, let's get into Will Venable. If this is such a big and imposing task that is upcoming, why did he choose that? Why don't we go to Will Venable on choosing Chicago? He also talks about leaving Texas, as John Greenberg asks.
Well, I wouldn't say he sold me on it. I think he was just really transparent about what he valued, and that really started with people, and that's what I value too. And we continue to talk and continue to lay out his vision for winning and the foundation he wanted to build. And it really all started with people, and that really resonated with me and kind of lit me up. And as we continued to talk, I just was more and more confident that he was the kind of partner that I wanted to have in this.
It was kind of, you were mentioned last year of not wanting an interview or maybe not wanting to leave Texas. So I was just curious what changed between now and then with the opportunities.
I don't think anything changed. I think every year, my wife and I, we have kind of a set of criteria that we go into the year. I've been super lucky to have these opportunities, and you don't assume anything, but in case that people call, you want to be prepared to go about those decisions thoughtfully. And, at the time, it just was one of those things last year where some of the opportunities that I had just didn't really fit the criteria for me and my family. And it had, no knock on the opportunities, and it wasn't anything going on with Texas. It was just kind of my personal criteria that I had. And this year it was different.
And there is a little bit more. Vinny ended up asking, being in Texas, being Bruce Bochy's senior assistant manager,
associate manager.
Jesus. Thank God he's just manager now.
Just manager, one word.
On what Bruce Bochy's impact and being around Bochy for the next 2 years got him ready and prepared for this opportunity with the White Sox.
Yeah, it's just the way that Boch went about it and included me in conversations. And, I would say 75% of the time that he handed me the lineup for the day, he would ask me if I wanted to change anything. And he was serious. And if I ever did have a suggestion, probably more often than not, he wouldn't listen and would do what he wanted to do anyway. But it was that type of engagement with his process that really just accelerated my development and my understanding. And the same thing happened on the bullpen side with my role in creating game plans. And I just could not thank Boch enough for that, because like I said before, it really made all the difference.
It's interesting to hear him talk about his development, and I think this is why you told me to clip this out, Vinny, is just because this has been a guy that has been seen as a manager for a very long time. He's been obviously a coach since 2018, and it's not Joe Madden, and maybe Joe Madden wasn't allowing him into the things that Bruce Bochy ended up doing. It's not Alex Cora. It is the Hall of Famer, Bruce Bochy. It is intriguing to see that it was these 2 years that really kind of accelerated him and not the past 4 years of being a major league coach.
I mean, he said today the first time he interviewed for a manager job was when the Cubs ended up hiring David Ross. I mean, he had been a coach for 1-2 years only at that point.
And just real quick, from Bleed Cubby Blue Pros, he's the youngest of the group and could perhaps relate to the better modern players. A smart guy. He has been a front office assistant as well as a coach. Like, it's the same stuff. Like, he was, same resume and everything when he was a candidate back in 20.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the thing that you look at, we're focusing so much on why would Will Venable choose the White Sox. Well, there's the other side of that coin, right? Why did the White Sox choose Will Venable? And I mean, what a list of people that he's worked for, and has learned from, starting with the guy that brought him to this level in Theo Epstein, who is going to the Hall of Fame, right? Joe Madden won a World Series in this very town, might be going to the Hall of Fame. Alex Cora won a World Series in Boston. And, of course, Bruce Bochy, who has 4 rings weighing down one of his hands, almost all the way to the ground. So to hear that a guy like Bochy, who was able to just step in and take the Rangers to a World Series after being retired for several years, giving this level of trust to a young guy, it shows how people think about Will Venable. And I think that to have him talk about how far he's gone in just 2 years, from being a guy who didn't know if he could take on this job to you work with Bruce Bochy for 2 years, he's talking to you about the lineup and the bullpen decisions every single day, and all of a sudden you feel confident in yourself. Granted, a lot of teams felt confident in Will Venable before he felt confident in himself, apparently. But I think it really speaks to why he's such an exciting choice in the mind of Herb and a lot of other fans.
Yeah, and here's 2 other people he named that I don't know if he necessarily was. Well, he was under Bud Black in San Diego, and also the guy who won the World Series for his second time last night, and Dave Roberts. Those people also molded and shaped him. So he has a lot of bona fides and a lot of experience behind him. People love the guy. And so if he just took an ounce of what all the people that have poured into him, what they did pour into him, I think he'll be a phenomenal manager, no matter what the results will be.
First of all, there hasn't been a name mentioned, and thankfully, next week you'll get another chance to talk to Will Venable. Will there be a Ricky Renteria question, Vinny? Do we have to pay you? Does this have to be an under the table thing?
Sean,
just $20 to be like, hey, what did Ricky Renteria do for you?
Chris Getz did say today, he was asked if there would be coaches returning to the coaching staff. And Chris Getz said there will be some familiar faces back.
Oh,
hey, nice and
I don't
open.
think he was talking about Rick Renteria.
All right, here we go. Terry Bevington's coming back. Let's go.
You can take that and irresponsibly run with it. How about that?
Welcome back, Charles Comiskey. All right. I mean, the other thing, too, again, let's just keep it silly for right now. Did we get any clarification on William? What does he have any nicknames?
Everyone was calling him Will, so I'm guessing it's Will.
Yeah, I mean, I asked Will Perdue. I did my journalistic integrity. I saw the 6'9", 6'9". I don't know. He's way taller than me. I can't even process anyone who's above 6'5". 7-footer, Will Perdue. I asked him because, again, I said his full name there, Will Perdue. Do you like being called Will? Are you called William Perdue? And he's like, depends on the person, but it's mostly Will. So I'm going to go with Will Perdue and call him Will Venable. We'll go on a ledge there. Anyways.
I'm going to call his full name the whole time.
I think that's the question we had is, do you call him just
Venable.
First name or just full name? Because I keep doing it. I keep saying full name.
I think it's just going to be Will. I think we're going to
eventually. I mean, I'm going to talk to the guy every day for this during the summer. So
that'll be kind of weird if you call Will Venable to his face.
Will Venable. Yeah.
Hey, Will Venable. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Let's go to Will Venable and let's hear on why he came to Chicago. John Greenberg ended up asking him. Oh no, we already did this one.
You just played it.
I really did. Let's ask the. Let's go to the intangible ones on why he's ready for this opportunity, why he's ready to come to Chicago?
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to my mind is just that I have an underdog mentality and all the things that come with that. In every step of the way in my professional career, I've been on teams that have had to work hard to overachieve, and that's just a kind of a mindset and mentality that I'm comfortable with, and I've seen that work at even the highest levels. I mean, in 2023 with Texas, I thought that that's what we did unbelievably, is that we had this underdog mentality, and we had a bunch of really good players that were hungry, and that's how I'm comfortable operating, in that mode. And so I think that's the number one thing. And then for me, we talked a lot about people and relationships and communication, which I know are buzzwords, but that's what I value, is creating an environment where these guys know that they can come to me with stuff, that we have good open communication, that we have a positive environment, but at the same time, like, have these relationships where we can pass critical information, and we can be honest with each other and hold each other accountable and give each other feedback. So I think with all those things, like, those are all big contributors to the kind of culture I want to build.
But at any point while you were deciding, did you say, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to take this job?
No, not at all. I mean, I look at all of these jobs and all these opportunities as a challenge. I think that I don't think that there's one managerial job that is easy. All of these jobs come with their unique challenges, and I'm excited about the challenges that are presented here with this group.
I have a quote from Getz that we're going to play in a second, but to address our guy White Sox Tom, same clown show, different manager, big deal. So we win 5 more games with him. I don't get the hype over him if he has nobody to manage. And that's understanding. We're not saying that Will Venable is going to cause this team to win 89 games in 2025. We have more on that, on what Venable expects for this team. But the biggest thing about Chris Getz's whole rebuild, and what we talked about yesterday, how this is more on Getz than it is Venable, is that Chris Getz is trying to change the way the White Sox operate. Mm-hmm. And we heard
at every level.
At every level. We saw that with research and development. Goodbye analytics. The boogeyman is gone. It's now just research and development. And what Matt Spiegel talked about was making those departments talk to each other and that communication. Will talking about it there, the communication aspect. It doesn't really even feel like right now Chris Getz's main aspect is, I got to go find the right fielder for the 2025 team. It's mostly, I got to make sure that this organization is properly functioning.
Exactly. There's a reason we keep talking about this as being such a long-term thing where we're not thinking about this team being a contender for years to come. And it's because there's a lot of work to do. A lot of that work is what Sean just talked about, the behind-the-scenes stuff. It's not as easy as, we got to plug a hole here on the big league roster, because there's so much that needs to be done before you can even get to that point. And so your point, what you say there, Tom, is not wrong, right? Big deal. They win 5 more games with him than they did without him. Yeah, that might be it in 2025. But as ridiculous as it sounds, the fact that they lost 121 games last year doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. The fact that they're going to be bad this year, it's kind of the point, is that they're going to be bad this year because they have so much other stuff that they need to focus on, and guys in the minor leagues that they need to wait for to develop into players that are going to be able to be filled in with free agents and supplemented with free agents and trades and that kind of thing. They are not at the point right now where they're hiring a manager to win the AL Central next year. So I think Will Venable has been brought in not as a manager to turn this thing around this offseason or next season. He's the guy who's going to be here to shepherd this thing as it builds for 3-4 years until they're ready to contend again. And of course they hope that it's shorter than that. They don't want to sit around and be bad if they don't have to. But there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Venable seems ready to help with that work, and now he's here not to win tomorrow, though I'm sure he'd like to, but to win in 2, 3, 4 years from now.
I'll get to my main point in a second, but we got a break, so it's going to be a little long-winded, so I'll address what Tom has to say in a second.
I can read your mind.
Yes.
We've been working together for 3 years now, and I feel like I just know what's coming off your mind.
Please.
You want to say that in 2025, instead of 121 losses, it's going to be 121 wins. We're going to go 2 different records back-to-back
Mirror
years.
image.
Because Venable's ready to flip this thing.
Results matter.
Results do matter.
That's
more than
the
anything.
number one, and that's where I think Tom is going, where he can't stop.
Yeah, you always say
Please.
results over process.
Exactly.
I know that.
All right. And I'm with Ryan in the comments saying, looking on the outside, winning more games is a net positive. Yeah, they lost 121 games. I'll take anything above what happened last year. Let's take a break, and we'll get to Herb's tease of what his thoughts are. We want to let you know about our friends over at Sunnyside. It's a Sunnyside Summer Thursday. Our friends at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary are here to elevate your fall. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. They have a crazy selection with over 100 different strains to choose from with easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Wherever you are in Illinois, Sunnyside has a location for you. They have spots as far south as Champaign, as far north as South Beloit. I'm quite apt or fond of the one in Elmwood Park, so go check out the one nearest you. Shop in the store nearest you for expert guidance from their staff or select from quality lines like Cresco or FloraCal. And available now, Good News has their new limited time offer, Island Vibes. You can get that in a disposable vape, 510 cart, or even a live resin gummy. Go check them out at sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. That's 50%, 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. Herb.
Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Actually, next Thursday, we are going to the Chicago Bulls game versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Illini people are going to be there. So we went on to Game Time and got those tickets because we know that going to Game Time, you get the lowest price guarantee with their Game Time guarantee, which states if you find a lower price in your section and row than Game Time, they will send you 110% of the difference, just like I got back a couple years ago in Atlanta. Other things I like about Game Time is all-in pricing. Toggling this feature will show you the total upfront with no surprises at checkout. And you get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. And with Game Time's ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download Game Time today, create an account, and use the code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem the code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game time. Ooh. All right. Just to give you a heads up, everyone, we do have 100 people watching, and only 20 of you hit the like button. So really appreciate you. You hit that like button. It'd be really helpful. And a heads up, we're playing these in chunks right now, but we should have the full 30 minutes of Chris Getz and Will Venable speaking to the media up on our CHGO Sports YouTube channel just a little bit later tonight. So keep a lookout on that if you do want to get the full breadth of what has been talked about today for the Chicago White Sox and Will Venable in this introductory press conference. Later on today at CHGO, we have a Bull show at 5:30. We have the Briggs and Brown show. That is Lance Briggs and Alex Brown. Those are former Bears, if you don't know, at 7 p.m. And then we have a pregame, these poor Blackhawks guys, at 9 p.m.
Ridiculous.
9 p.m. and a postgame later.
What are they playing in Hawaii?
Ugh.
Well, let's see. I don't know. Steven, do you know? You're Mr. Hockey.
Mr. Hockey, who they playing?
Used to be Mr. Hockey.
I'm not Mr. Hockey
Final
anymore.
guesses. Final guesses.
I'm going to go with San Jose.
I will say they're playing the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim.
Seattle.
You pulled that out of your butt.
San Jose.
San
Let's
Jose.
go.
Look at you. They're facing the
Sharks.
2-7 and 2 Sharks.
Oh, just great starter jackets
so
right there.
If you can't watch the CHSN pre and post game show, we have you covered. Herb,
Yeah.
what were your thoughts?
White Sox Tom watches most of these shows, and we really appreciate everybody who watches. So you know what I'm going to say about process over results, and you know that I'm very, very anti how Chris Getz was hired and how he did in his first full year in the job. But if you can't see that what Chris Getz is trying to do is proper process, and so you, me, Sean, Vinny, everybody else who's watching White Sox baseball in 3, 4, 5, 6 years from now can see better results, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, he revamped the whole international scouting system, saw that it was a limiting force. It's not going to get the job done. You guys are all gone. we're bringing in different people. Hire a new scout, major top scout. Hire him from the Mets. Like, that is a huge move. And all the moves he did last year, we already talked about the Brian Bannister moves. Jin Wan and Gene Watson and Josh Barfield. You know, keep on bringing people in. Paul Yanish is the new farm director. Like, these moves are different from what they used to be. Now, will they work? I don't know. But the process of what he's doing and tearing down this organization from where it was to where he thinks it is, and I think, Vinny, off the air, you said to me and you said to Sean, like, it's like these guys who could go anywhere else. Bannister will be highly sought after. I'm sure he's highly sought after right now still. He could have stayed in San Francisco. Josh Barfield could have stayed in Arizona. These other people could have stayed and went other places. But Chris Getz has a great sales job for these gentlemen and women coming into the organization that they say, yes, I want to be here to build that up from the bottom. That, to me, says the process is going right. And he's a good salesperson and bringing good people into the organization. That's what you need. Now, does he not need to do a lot more? Yes. And that's what these next couple of years are for. If the White Sox end up with 125 losses next year, as long as that team looks better and looks more prepared and that team looks a little bit more focused on doing the fundamentals right, I will be pissed off that they're losing that many games, but I'll also be happier where the process and where that team and that organization is going. So, yeah, I know I'm the most cynical White Sox fan there can be. But if you can't see what Chris Getz is doing, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, and the cynicism feels like we're selling somebody a 2001 Ford Taurus with no engine, right? Like that feels like what this is led out to be.
That's you're describing 2 couches.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, 2 couches or a lemon if we want to put it in car terms. But Venable said Chris didn't have to sell me. He was just transparent. And I guess that's what a good car salesman is. Like, hey, there is no engine in here. Do you want it? Like,
I do now.
I don't know. I mean, Chris always said he was looking for a partner, and that's the exact word that Venable uses. I don't know if that's good media training, but he said, as we continue to talk, I was more and more confident that he was the kind of partner I wanted to have in this.
What Chris was looking for.
What Chris was looking for.
What did he say? 60 people? He cast the wide net.
Yeah, well.
He clarified that. So you're seeing what you're seeing when you see the video, guys. That is the press conference from earlier today. When you're seeing the audio clips, we were invited to be part of a beat writers only session, and so that's what that is from.
You were.
Yeah, me. Yeah. Me and my colleagues, not them. You would never be able to.
Not your actual colleagues.
You're right. Not my coworkers, my colleagues. So in that, he clarified that mention of 60 names by saying that's the wish list they had, right? The whiteboard had 60 names on it. Then they got it down to 20, and he said 20 people were part of the interview process, and then they narrowed it down to 5 finalists, and then they narrowed it down to Will Venable.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's all you would want as a White Sox fan. Cast the wide net. And out of that, I'm sure he got some information that he can be used for future things, even on his team, like some scouting from those guys that came into the interview process.
You're talking to 20 people. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's exactly what we were hoping for. So let's get to Chris, because there is one more clip on him talking about communication. Let's hear about how important and crucial communication will be between these two partners, Getz and Venable.
You know, from my perspective, as we were evaluating candidates, you know, the communication ability of Will definitely stood out. And the reason why I feel like it's so effective is because it's coming from a place of some authenticity, honesty. There's never anything, he never delivers anything in a rush. I mean, it's just with depth. It's very thoughtful. And although he may be the smartest guy in the room, he doesn't need to kind of show off and let everyone know that he is the smartest guy in the room. And I think that's what makes him so welcoming. And regardless of cultural background or any background whatsoever, I think, you know, people will respond well to that. In regards to, you know, the value system and things we were looking for, you know, in our manager position, although, you know, there are a lot of, when you think about hiring a manager or hiring anyone, there are emotions that could get involved. There are biases that can start infiltrating decision-making. And so we tried to build out a process that was very objective. And, you know, and through that objectivity, we felt like we landed on some really strong candidates towards the final round. Obviously, there's going to be nuance to it because there's nuance to the position. There's an art of coaching. There's an art of communication. But we did feel like it zeroed in on candidates that we feel like we're going to be effective as a leader, as a manager for the Chicago White Sox. So, there's some things we valued greater than others. We certainly understand where we are as an organization. Will does as well. There are going to be different phases along the way, but we feel like Will can be part of not only the near future here in 25, but beyond as our roster begins to take shape, and also as we start accomplishing greater things at the major league level.
That is Chris Getz on what they're trying to accomplish, and there's just a little bit more. So let's hear about Chris Getz on this partnership and just expanding a little bit more on the partnership between Venable and Getz.
We've got a pretty good sense of the skills that Will brings to the table. We're from a professional standpoint, we're just getting the relationship started. I know that he's capable of a lot and can provide a lot to an organization. In regards to autonomy, I think it's the type of relationship that I envision, and I've got a pretty good sense it's going to be. We're heading towards is it's open dialogue. We're very comfortable talking to each other about perhaps all baseball conversations. It could be roster construction, it could be lineup, it could be bullpen usage. It could be a player development topic, certain philosophies, how we go about a scouting process or implement analytic information, a medical process, all those types of things. That when we talk about partnership, it's the ability to be able to dive into those types of topics. And there are no barriers. And I would imagine that relationship. Our relationship's going to be strong, and we're going to nurture it, and it'll continue to get better through time. But I'm confident that, it's going to be a strong partnership, and we'll dive into a lot of different areas of baseball along the way.
I think the biggest thing, too, about this is not only they're coming from similar backgrounds, they're coming from being former players, but also it's just the same age. Like, this is not Rick Hahn trying to talk to Tony La Russa. This is, similar to when Rick Hahn picked Pedro Grifol. I think you want somebody that you're able to relate to, somebody that, again, as Chris said, you can be open with. I think this is going to be a good partnership. Can they actually lead to winning? Can it actually work out and be fulfilled? There's a lot that has to happen. There's, 200 and something games, 324 games or something in the first 2 years that they'll have to get through and probably just, grind through to actually get through. But I think that this partnership, especially when there's going to be so many trials and tribulations, it's important that you have somebody that you can trust and chat with. And it's great that it seems like Venable and Getz have that.
Yeah, you need that partnership. You don't want to be at odds or having things or taboo subjects that can't be touched. And it seems like both of the doors are wide open for discussion, for good debate, and disagreement, which is, I think, the most important thing. Like, if you're going to have some type of difference of opinion, it's good that your general manager is open to something that might be he didn't think of, or the opposite way where Will's the field manager, and he's like, oh, Chris, that was a good idea that you brought up. I wasn't thinking that way. And they have that sussed out through back doors and talking to each other that way. And so, yeah, you need the same type of philosophies, firstly. And then secondly, you need to have the open communication so you can be real with that person. The last thing you want is a fake type of relationship where you're walking on eggshells. You can't say anything to that guy, which I kind of felt where the Tony La Russa, Rick Hahn thing was. That dynamic was, am I as powerful as Tony La Russa? Can I tell him anything, really? He's got 3 championships. And Tony was like, I got 3 championships. I don't really need to tell anybody.
His best friend Jerry.
Yeah, I got an offense. That's why they got the locker room. And so that's good. That's good open communication, and it should be like that for most teams. Like you said, will this thing work? I don't know. It more than likely this will fail because they're starting at such a low bottom spot where all 30 teams are doing similar type things where they're trying to get a partnership with their general manager and their bench boss. They're trying to get all the analytics and the scouting to work together to work to a better thing like the Dodgers did last night. But only one champion happens. I'm sure Yankee fans are pissed today, but it was a great season. But it's more than likely, if I had to bet on it, it's going to fail because it's just really hard to do and win in baseball. But it's not going to be failing because they didn't start the process correctly. And I think that's what they're doing right now with open communication and also getting the best candidate that was available.
Do you have more on communication at all?
Not really.
Okay, what would define failure then in year one? Is there a way that Chris Getz and Venable can fail?
I mean, I think it would, I guess no, because the expectation from a win-loss standpoint is that things are going to be focusing behind the scenes. Things are not going to be focused on the big league team being very good, so I guess no. But at the same time, there are going to be at least individual players who you're going to want to see progress from, most of them currently on the pitching staff. But, what if Colson Montgomery doesn't come up this year? I mean, again, that's not Will Venable's department, but
right.
What if that doesn't happen? What if some of the other guys who are here to be part of the future don't progress? But I think at the end of the day, it's what we talked about last season as being the big failure, which was they played horrible baseball. Their style was not good. The problems that dogged them in the previous years didn't go anywhere. They couldn't catch the ball. They couldn't field well. They couldn't run the bases well. They couldn't stay healthy. And boy, could they not hit. So, I mean, if all of that just continues, I think that would be, certainly it wouldn't be good. But I mean, I guess if you're going to see it from a bunch of guys who aren't supposed to be here, what does that really matter? But I think as time goes on, you're going to see more and more guys who are supposed to be here. And if those problems and those traits don't go away, that obviously will be a problem.
I expect those things to continue to happen because the talent from the start of last year to the start of next year, I believe, will be worse on the White Sox roster. Now, they can be cleaned up fundamentally, but I don't know if they're going to score more runs next year, whether like 100-plus runs from the last place team, the 29th place team in Major League Baseball. They have fewer guys who can hit the ball over the fence, and they're not going to be going out to get people who can do that. Now it's up to Will and Chris and the rest of the staff to find a way to generate runs in different ways than hitting the ball over the fence. And, maybe through their tutelage and their teachings, they can find a way where they can put more bats to balls and get runners onto home plate. But I think there's no way really for this team to fail next year, even if the losses are more. I'm just talking about overall this whole rebuild. Like, more than likely, if you're betting on it succeeding or failing, more than likely, starting at where they're starting, yeah, they're probably going to fail.
I mean, like, the biggest failure that they could probably have is, like, August, if Crochet's still on the team. Like, if Crochet's unextended and he's not traded, like, that might be a failure from Getz.
But that's a very specific thing.
I
that's
said,
not
yeah,
the
right.
thing.
Yeah. And I said,
might,
and it might be 10 months from
That'll
now. I mean,
hey,
it's such a long process.
I'm in for that failure. Give me that failure.
We're talking about Will Venable. I just asked you what the expectations for year one are. Why don't we just ask Will Venable what the expectations are for year one?
Yeah, I think, going in, you have a plan, and certainly that is to create an environment where guys can be at their best, and there's going to come with challenges, and there's going to be situations that challenge that and are going to force us to rethink things and be adjustable and flexible to things. And I think if you look up at the end of the year and you say that you've handled that adversity well, that's definitely a sign of a successful year. We also know that we're building something. We know that there's not just the way that we go about our business and our culture, but also our systems and our processes. If we continue to build that for the future, I think that's also a sign of a successful year.
There you go. You want to know if Will Venable knows what he got himself into? There it is. He just took the job. He's so excited to have it, and he just said that success in year one will be measured by if they handle the adversity well.
Right.
He knows what he's getting into.
And that's what Grady did. I mean, Grady handled the adversity well. They had to fire their coach mid-season last year, and Grady got them to the finish line, and guys were happy in that clubhouse.
I mean, all the players handled adversity well last year.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the main part, at least for 2025. What about beyond that, though? how does Will Venable plan on building winners, and what type of how does he plan on building winners?
I think it's a few things. I mean, I think like number one, we just have to set really clear expectations for how we want to go about our business on a daily basis, and be able to follow up and develop leadership that can hold people accountable to that. But it's also about creating a winning mentality. In every team across the league, the Yankees, all the way through the rest of the league, you're going to have your challenges and adversity, and be able to create a winning mentality where you say, hey, I know we're going to struggle with some stuff, but if we continue to go out there and compete, if we continue to work together and focus on the things we know win games and are good teammates to each other, then we can overcome a lot together. And that's my mentality. That's the mentality that I want this team to have. And for me, like, you put those two things together and you develop a really strong culture.
And I think the other thing too, it's just the major league coaching, or at least major league team that is Will Venable's oversight. I think the biggest thing that we've seen with the Dodgers and Yankees and these teams that have been so successful, even the Rays that don't have this big budget, is it does seem like there's a winning mentality top to bottom. And it seemed like Chris Getz got a little bit out of the minor leagues this year because, hey, Birmingham won the Southern League. Yay. It seemed like Kannapolis did really well. Winston-Salem did well. Yeah. Charlotte was but we'll get to it. Double A is more important. But like, that's the other thing about Will Venable is he's got to run a nice spring training. He's got to get these guys through 2025, 2026. But if these players aren't coming up and giving them the talent to win in 2027, I mean, like, what is Will Venable supposed to do? Like, I think that's part of the reason why it's tough to be excited about Will Venable, but it does seem like the step in the right direction. Because, again, it's just going to be the longest process probably you've ever been a part of.
Yeah, and again, I go back to what I say at the beginning and said yesterday. I mean, for some people, this is what they want to do. For some people, they want to step into a winner and win and keep winning right away. Their whole thing is, I want to just be to the World Series as quickly as I possibly can. That is a kind of competition as well, right? And for some people, they want to be part of the long haul. And you're seeing a guy in Venable who's signing up to be a part of the long haul, right? I mean, they didn't have to, this isn't some sort of punishment, by Major League Baseball. They're, saying, boy, we didn't like the way you did things in Texas, so guess what you have to do? You have to go manage the White Sox for the next 5 years. No, I mean, this is a guy who took this job to do this exact project. So I think, again, it's very easy for folks to be cynical. This team is at the bottom of the bottom, and rightfully, folks are frustrated. There's no doubt that you are welcome to be mad about a team that lost 121 games. But I think you got to look at Venable as a guy who's what you've been talking about all along, Herb, trying to take this in the direction that it needs to go into. Who knows if it's going to work, but these guys seem to be enthusiastic and excited about doing that work.
Just like I said the other, paraphrase Mike Tomlin, the Steelers coach, seems like Will Venable doesn't seek comfort. He doesn't run away from challenges. He doesn't run away from coaching. He runs to it. He sees a problem here at the White Sox and says, you know what? I want that challenge. I could have my comfortable seat down there in Arlington, Texas, and just be chilling out at the right side of Bruce Bochy. And, when he leaves it, I got a ready-made team. And I know that the general manager is going to be giving me everything I need to win a championship again here in Texas. But he's like, you know what? I want a new challenge. I'm ready for that new challenge because of the 2 years I've been here with the Texas Rangers, and I want to go to the White Sox because that seems like a challenge that I'm ready for, and the partners that I'm having there are ready for that challenge too. They're all ready to dig their hands into the dirt and get its stuff built up the correct way.
And we got two more comments here from Will Venable. And we also want to give a shout out to Yamin Street Sports, who says he's a CHGO diehard. We appreciate that. I see Ian in the chat, a diehard as well. We appreciate you guys supporting us. Let's hear about the growing foundation of the Chicago White Sox. Hear from Will Venable.
Well, I think it's understanding that there's a foundation that is currently being set and that spans the entire organization and the importance of every single department and its continued growth, but also just the kind of culture that we want to create and the kind of environment we want to create that we both agree is a positive one that also has elements of realism where we can, hold players accountable to things that we know are important to winning. So, that for me is just where it starts. And you could have all the stuff that some of these organizations have, and if you don't have that at its core, I don't think you have a chance to succeed.
Right. It's about the stuff. It's about building, and that stuff might not be fully in place until 2026, 2027. I mean, how long does it take to build an academy in the Dominican?
I don't know. I'm not an expert on construction in the Caribbean, but I would have to imagine, the ground is a little different than the ground is up here. So, yeah.
Start working those Dominican sources.
Got to worry about hurricanes and stuff.
Absolutely.
Rain every day.
Make sure that structure is good. Let's hear again from Venable here on the brand of baseball that we can expect in 2025 and under his team.
Yeah, I have high expectations for effort. I think and it's not just about going out there and playing hard, but it's about pressuring the other team. And I think that's just something that's really important to being competitive and just competing, right? And getting into a mindset where you can go out there and just continue to compete regardless of what happened the last play or the last game or the last week. So those two things are the most important for me. We know that there's going to be challenges along the way, but if we can stay in that mindset where we're, playing to the expectation that we've set for competing and effort, we're going to be fine.
Man, if this team could give effort every single night, and since Will Venable was also an outfield coach, if they could communicate in the outfield, again, communication's big, I don't think I'll have any complaints. You could lose 110 games, but if there's no, just blooper reel at the end of the year of outfielders crashing into one another and guys, busting it down the line, we will have probably a pretty quiet comment section.
We saw that catch that Travis Jankowski made while Will Venable was the Rangers outfield coach. Maybe Dominic Fletcher is about to rattle off a highlight reel of his own.
I think he needs some stilts.
Wow.
Well, maybe not the same kind of catches, but we've seen some nice highlights from Venable's playing days when he was making some leaping grabs and diving grabs in the outfield. If you haven't YouTubed that, by the way, go watch some Will Venable outfield highlights. He made some remarkable plays.
There's the one that you shared with us that was in San Francisco, and it's a better catch than the Willie Mays catch because he's diving going over his shoulder. It's
say hey.
It is. I would say that too, but it's sacrilegious to say that. But yeah, didn't he coach Adolis Garcia to a Gold Glove?
Leotis Taveras.
And Leotis Taveras too was a great center fielder.
I don't think Adolis has a.
I think he had one in 2023. I believe with this cannon.
I thought Kennedy misspoke. Oh no, there's a Gold Glove.
Yeah.
All right, my bad.
Yeah, so he's got guys out there just gloving it, like the youngsters out there that just got in there. Evan Carter, he's pretty solid. Langford started as a rookie. Like he can get these guys ready to play outfield. And as you guys said, that outfield communication has been a bugaboo for the White Sox for I don't know how long.
Vin, I want to ask you this in the last 3 minutes here. We have another chat with Will Venable next week. I believe on Monday, right?
Friday after the GM meetings.
After the GM meetings. What else are you looking to learn from Will? Is there anything that you really haven't picked apart from him or understood about him yet?
I don't know. It's a good question. I think, when you talk about these guys, once you've been watching baseball long enough and following baseball long enough, you kind of know what the manager job entails a little bit. And so you're like, all right, I know what you're going to do, or I know what you're going to try to do. Now let's go see you do it. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of carries over all that positive stuff we heard about Grady Sizemore, the whole, man, this guy's a former player, and I remember watching him, and so I'm so respectful of him, and I'm so happy he's my manager kind of thing. Does Will Venable, who wasn't the all-star level player that Grady Sizemore was, get that same level of respect in the clubhouse? Does he garner those same kinds of reactions? Maybe that's not something we find out until spring training, but I think that the ability to relate to players, that is something that folks have talked about him having since the Cubs brought him on as a coach back in 2018. So that aspect of things I think is going to be very interesting. But yeah, I mean, it's more so just doing the job. Like what does managing the White Sox in the middle of a rebuild entail, and why is that different than trying to, win a championship in Texas or something like that? I think he seems very honest and upfront about what he's getting into and what he expects. Let's see if we hear that once he's got players that he needs to, try to get to win games and play the right way on a regular night.
I love the answer that Chris Getz gave about Will Venable having the ability to have who on his staff, who he wants or who he does not want. And I was asked about Grady Sizemore if he's going to have him on his staff. So that's good. Like, if he has him on his staff, fine. If he doesn't, I am good with that. I'm glad that Chris Getz gave him the ability to do that.
Yeah, right. It does seem like it's his choice, and this won't be an arranged marriage. Now, with Ethan Katz, maybe.
Familiar faces.
We'll have to see who ends up coming back. Final thing that I just wanted to throw out there or ask you, Vinny. Did you get clarification if he could speak Spanish? Is he bilingual? Or
he was asked by a Spanish language reporter who I believe works for Univision if what his communication is like with Spanish-speaking players, and Will's answer was, mi español es muy malo.
Okay,
so
all right.
He seems to have the same sort of vocabulary that I do. He could string a sentence together very slowly, but it doesn't sound like he speaks Spanish, so to speak. So I think that but he talked about how important it is to have, the proper translation in the clubhouse so nothing's lost and stuff like that. He talked about how important that was, so it's certainly something that he's thinking about.
So, un poco. I know Ricky Renteria speaks Spanish, so there you go. Hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel.
Tony La Russa also speaks Spanish.
That's true.
Yes.
Hey, and he's an
Adrian
advisor.
too.
He could advise them on being bilingual. Make sure you subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Again, a Bull show at 5:30, Briggs and Brown at 7 p.m., and then a pregame at 9 p.m. for the Blackhawks and Sharks game here on the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. Congratulations to Will Venable. Congratulations to Chris Getz for getting his guy. Welcome to Will and Catherine, that's his wife's name, to Chicago. He seems to be excited about it, and we're excited for him. We don't know if he likes deep dish, but we'll find out. Hit that thumbs up button. We'll be back tomorrow, and we'll likely share more Will Venable clips with you. See you then.
We all silly like the mayor.